Hello, my loyal viewers. Are you ready for another eye-opening, mind-boggling video? If so, then your wish is my command. Today, we will touch on the mental and emotional aspects of success, especially in romantic relationships. And we will use Dr. Ramani's clinical and personal experiences to help us navigate the waters of romance and take her wisdom on healing. But we won't discuss the mushy stuff you usually associate romance with. This video is about distinguishing between healthy, safe relationships and narcissistic, toxic ones. So if you are struggling with a narcissistic partner, recently broke up with one, or deciding if you are one, watch the video till the end. But before I spill the secrets, hit the like and subscribe buttons to send some healthy love. Now let's get on to the good stuff. Don't rush to move on. Ramani's psychology degree isn't the only reason she is a narcissist expert. In fact, much of it has to do with her personal experiences. She advises her patients to avoid moving on too fast. But what's wrong with trying to find healthy love after an era of toxicity? It has more to do with you than your next partner. Dr. Ramani says that narcissistic relationships can make individuals lose themselves.
Something I'm hearing from a lot of survivors is after they get out of the narcissistic relationships, they say, I feel like I don't know who I am anymore.
Since they are so focused on the needs and happiness of the narcissist, they lose track of their individual needs. As a survivor, you might get so used to your partner not liking a particular fruit, color, or genre that you don't even think if you like it. This is why Dr. Ramani's gold standard is a year.
You might get caught up in someone else's sort of whole toxic bomb storm. So now I know a lot of people say a year just feels too long. I'm like, I got you, I get it. A year's optimal. And the folks who've done it said, I don't regret doing that at all now. But for a lot of people, it might even be 8 months, 9 months. But there's a moment, Louis, after a narcissistic relationship, where a person will look up as they go to bed that night and say, oh my God, I didn't think of them once today. That's a good day.
That's an amazing day.
Give yourself that much time to heal before jumping into something new. Relearn the concept of love. If someone constantly keeps telling you black is white, there will come a time when you believe it. That's precisely how toxic relationships shape you and your idea of love. So in your next relationship, you try to find love in chaos, because that's all you have known in a previous narcissistic relationship. Therefore, Dr. Ramani advises individuals to reflect on that relationship and recognize the toxic patterns. The movies might convince you that no sparks means no love. However, in reality, boring could mean healthy. This is what long-term relationships look like. Why you stick to narcissistic relationships. You may think, well, if someone is so emotionally abusive, I wouldn't stay with them in the first place. However, that's not how the pattern works, according to Dr. Ramani. First off, a narcissistic person doesn't carry a tag on their forehead, so you wouldn't even know what you've gotten yourself into initially. Over time, you will get used to their antics and get stuck in the cycle. Moreover, these relationships usually function on trauma bonding. You want the toxic screaming at each other, then making up cycle.
People who are in relationships with narcissists ultimately always feel like they're not enough. Because if I was enough, he'd be present. If I was enough, he'd love me. If I was enough, he wouldn't cheat on me, and so on and so forth. This has nothing to do with you. It's that they can't regulate their self-esteem. They're the ones who are insecure, and that's the bottom line. Narcissism is a trait that relates solely to insecurity.
You go through many bad days because you need a few good ones. If your partner is happy, you will be happy. But if their boss yells at them one day, it doesn't matter if you come home with the lottery. You'll have a bad day too.
Even during the so-called good days, from a relatively early point, your reality and sense of self are tested all the time. You are chronically confused. You feel helpless to change the relationship. Nothing you do seems to make things better. Your feedback is met with rage. You have to cut off more and more parts of yourself to make it work. And you have to walk on eggshells to survive. And all of this is happening on a regular day in the relationship.
But you will tolerate it because of the trauma bond. Next, we look at Dr. Ramani's unique trick to see the early red flags in a relationship.
Discernment is that part between not constantly looking for red flags, but also not getting almost sort of drunk on the wonderfulness of it all. It's finding that middle ground where you're saying basically slow your roll a little bit. Like, take it slow, take it in, enjoy the goodness. Don't feel like you have to be a detective, but also give yourself time to be discerning. But if we take our time with anything, we are going to learn a lot more about it. And there is a rush. I think people feel a rush to feel.
Don't miss this. Traveling together. This might sound bogus, but traveling teaches people much about each other. Things don't always go your way when you are on the road. During road trips, you don't have a comfortable bed, the sheets might not be as fresh, and you probably won't get enough sleep. All these factors can make a person irritable or angry. This anger usually makes people lose their guard and show their true colors. If you see the red flags, pack up and run the other way. Dr. Ramani cautions people regarding this. If your narcissistic partner realizes you are about to leave, they might gaslight you into staying with them. Therefore, start distancing yourself and don't explain yourself too much. The less you talk about it, the less is their chance of manipulating the circumstance. Next, Dr. Ramani reveals one secret way to recognize a narcissist immediately. What a narcissist talks about. You might not know the next person is a narcissist, but they do.
Do the narcissists know? Do narcissists know that they're narcissistic or difficult? And maybe even more important is the question of, do narcissists really know how insecure they are? Because clearly this person's insecure. Do they know? The answer to that is ish.
That is why they'll ensure you don't figure it out. So you will never catch a narcissist talking about sensitive issues. A typical conversation with a narcissist will entail talking about the weather, then shifting to the news, maybe telling you what they did during the day, and so on. But never about what they did to hurt you or any other sensitive issue between you. They will actively avoid all such topics and avoid giving away their true selves. Handling your money after a toxic relationship. If you find yourself overspending and finding excessive joy in shopping, it might have to do with your previous trauma. Many survivors start associating their self-worth with their possessions. If you recognize this pattern, it's time to assess yourself for past trauma, identify where this feeling originates from, and work on it. Next, we discuss starting your healing journey from a toxic relationship. So stick around for this crucial step because your future relationships will suffer without it. Reflection and self-awareness. Breaking from the shackles of toxicity can take a mental and sometimes physical toll on you. So if you've made it, kudos to you because the storm is over. However, every storm leaves a trail of ruins behind it, and it is your job to fix those damages. To start, you must recognize how much damage has occurred and pinpoint the exact areas. Start the mentalization of your behaviors. Ask yourself why you do certain things and how they affect the people around you. This will give you self-awareness and make you realize which parts to work on. Doing this lets you become aware of others and their toxic behaviors. Once you establish your boundaries and acknowledge your discomfort, you will tell others not to cross them. But this is also true if you are on the other side, i.e. if you have narcissistic tendencies. Realizing these tendencies is the first right step. The second is mentalization, reflecting on your actions and realizing how they affect your loved ones. Think of something you said to your partner today. Imagine what they felt like hearing it. This clarity will help you realize your toxic patterns. You can decide whether to change them or free yourself and your partner from the toxicity. Next, we look at one shortcut you shouldn't make in your healing journey because you will never be successful. Keep watching to identify and steer clear of it. Bypassing meditation. During your healing journey, whether you are a survivor of narcissism or a narcissist yourself, people will come to you and swear by psychedelics. They will tell you how the experiences reshaped them and how they are doing well on their meditation journey. That's a typical phenomenon called bypassing. Dr. Ramani realized this while working with narcissistic clients.
I started working with more narcissistic clients. And would you know, nothing we tried really made things better. In fact, they just remain difficult people, and I don't think I'm that bad a therapist.
So these people swore by these medications, but were obviously still clear narcissists. Just because someone says they are empathetic doesn't mean they are. Such people aren't willing to go to therapy, Instead, they choose medications to make themselves feel like they are on a healing path. This doesn't mean the psychedelics don't work. However, they are only one part of the package. So if you want to heal, you must go through the process. You need to show up to your sessions, figure out your deepest traumas and triggers, then go through the exhausting process of working on them. That's how you'll achieve true healing. What's one thing every person should develop more in all their relationships? Dr. Ramani believes it is sharing. You must be able to share your vulnerabilities and sadness. This comes from creating a safe space with your partner. In such practices, individuals understand where the other is coming from and build empathy. It also helps them process different feelings and not use anger as a universal outlet for all their emotions. This is mainly for men. How many men do you know who have been through sexual abuse? Not many. Overall, Dr. Ramani advises individuals to practice two things regardless of their gender: compassion and recognition. Go out there and recognize the extraordinary in everyone you meet, but remember to be compassionate about their experiences. If you are currently dealing with a narcissistic person, Dr. Ramani has two helpful tips. First, don't lose your daydreams because they will happen. If you lose your dreams, you will lose hope of change. Second, don't be afraid to change course. Break yourself from the shackles of tradition and take the path less traveled for ultimate growth. Alright folks, that's all for today's video. Do share the wisdom with your friends, and I'll be back with more in another episode of Financial and Emotional Wisdom. Till then, happy growing!